Here we go, hour two. This is The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. We're live in Los Angeles on iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. Greg Jennings knows all about the Minnesota Vikings. He lives there. Former Packer. He knows them, too. He'll join us in about 25, 30 minutes from now. Joy Taylor is joining me. I want to thank Doug Gottlieb for stopping by. Mark Schlereth, final hour. Joy, how are you?
Great.
We are great today.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody. 8 NFL head coaching openings. I'm going to talk about Jim and John Harbaugh. Before the end of the hour. I'm getting texts as we speak, so we do appreciate you stopping by. So this is for the final time this year. We do, during the football season, about 20 weeks. We do it right before the season starts, then we do it through the season, and then we do it as the season ends. We rank the top 10 NFL teams, and my feelings, though, has been the final 4 are the teams that should be favored to win the Super Bowl. And I spend more time on this than I really should. I give it a great deal of thought. We look through all the stats and graphs and data and analytics, and here we go, our herd hierarchy.
Herd hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
Listen, the Dallas Cowboys are 7-2 since Amari Cooper arrived. That's good for all receivers in the NFL. That's going to make a lot of wide receivers money. He has made a real impact, and this team is very good at home. The Cowboys have a way to play. In fact, they're 8-0 when Dak Prescott has a passer rating over 100. He usually has that when they play lesser defenses at home and have a running game. I think they have a low ceiling offensively, and there's a certain way they have to play. I think their defense is good. I don't think it's nearly as hot as Baltimore's or as good as Chicago's or as scary up front as the Eagles. That's why I put the Cowboys at 10.
Number 9.
Indianapolis. How can I put them ahead of the Cowboys? Because since week 7, they have the number 1 scoring point differential in the NFL. What's so special about week 7? That's when NFL people believe Andrew Luck was finally completely healthy. Remember early in the year when they had to bring on his backup, Jacoby Brissett, to throw a Hail Mary pass? People think week 6 and 7, Andrew Luck was completely healthy. They have won 9 of 10 since then. The Colts at number 9.
Number 8.
Listen, Philadelphia, I don't want any part of Philadelphia. Whatever it is with Nick Foles, no longer fool's gold, it works. He spreads the ball around better than Carson Wentz. And I got news for you. This is an experienced team that's been through these playoff wars. And between Fletcher Cox and Michael Bennett, they led the NFL in quarterback hits. So Trubisky's going to run around, and they're going to get shots at him for 3.5 hours. Philadelphia's a real team. 3 weeks ago, Joy was here. When everybody in the NFC was battling for that final spot, I said, I'm taking Philadelphia. Their players are too good. Now they got a little over their skis, got to write a book, going to have multiple parades, a little dysfunction. This defensive front is the best in the league, and I think they can go to Chicago and win.
Number 7.
You know, I sold most of my stock on the Rams about 2 months ago, but I didn't sell all of it. They are now rested. Todd Gurley has not played in 2 weeks and now gets a bye week. So Todd Gurley has not taken a shot in almost a month, and he really engineers this offense. What scares me about this team is that Goff has 11 turnovers since week 11. That's the most in the NFL. He looks tired. I think they've relied too heavily on him. I think sometimes it is a glamour play-calling offense. Sean McVay's young and impatient and likes the big over-the-top play. I think this team's at its best when it's running the football. But I think they forgot about that. And so I haven't sold all my stock. I don't see them in the Super Bowl, but I do think Todd Gurley, no hits in almost a month, that helps. Keep your eye on them. They could reboot a little and be very dangerous.
Number 6.
Baltimore. Now, I don't think this offense is 10 years sustainable. Lamar Jackson's a thin kid running around taking shots. Now, he's better than Tebow, but the Tebow thing lasted about 6 games. I think this could last 3 or 4 seasons maybe. But it's the hottest defense in the league. 7 of the last 8 teams they've played, they've held under 25 points, including the Chargers. They're the best running game in football, and frankly, they're hard to defend. Nobody runs an offense like this. What team in the NFL says, okay, we're having practice this week, you pretend you're Lamar Jackson? You can sort of pretend you're Phillip Rivers. You can pretend you're Tom Brady. Nobody in the NFL runs this offense. I think they're incredibly difficult to defend in this little bubble. I don't know if it's sustainable. I have Baltimore at 6, though.
Number 5.
I think Chicago is more sustainable, and this isn't the hottest defense. This is the best overall defense. They're at home, built for cold weather. I think they have the coach of the year in Matt Nagy. I do think when you have a defense that leads the NFL like the Bears did in scoring defense, rushing defense, takeaways, yards per play, defensive touchdowns, this is hands down the best defense. Baltimore's is hot. This is better. Philadelphia's good up front. This is better. I think it's a low-ceiling offense. They have to win a certain way. They're 12-0 if they hold you to 24 or less. They are not built for a shootout. And if Nick Foles gets hot and it's a shootout, and you told me today the score is 32-28, I'm taking Philadelphia, and I think Philly's going to score some points on this team.
Number 4.
These are my final 4 teams. They should be favored for the Super Bowl. New England. Only NFL team that went 8-0 at home. Best coach in football. Completely healthy. By the way, this is the underrated part. Every Patriots team that gets to a Super Bowl, they have one thing in common. It becomes a top 10 defense. 7 of their last 9 opponents, including 3 straight, they've held below 20 points. Quietly, as we've paid attention to Gronk's demise and Brady, this defense, this could be the best secondary in the NFL. It is an exceptional secondary. They are getting a situational pass rush. They've got a bye. They play at home. And there's a lot of teams in the AFC I like. Not many I like going to Foxborough in mid-January. Patriots 4.
Number 3.
I think the Chargers remain the best roster in the NFL. Why am I supposed to not like them now? Because they lost a close game to Baltimore, facing Lamar Jackson, an offense that it's hard to prepare for. Like, I suddenly don't like them. They didn't have their number 2 back. They didn't have their number 1 wide receiver. The Chargers are loaded. This team's weakness, they're not great at guard. Why am I supposed to sell all my stock? Phillip Rivers had a Pro Bowl year. They have the deepest core of running backs in the league, the deepest core of wide receivers in this league. As long as they don't go to Baltimore and there's a snowdrift, I think they're going to go there and win. Don't sell this team's stock just because they lost a close game to Baltimore. Well, I mean, you still love Baker Mayfield. He lost a close game to Baltimore. I mean, come on. This is a loaded roster.
Number 2.
Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they're 0-6 in home playoff games since the mid-'90s. But I don't care. None of the players on this team, Patrick Mahomes wasn't there. Okay, they have a really good offense. But I will say this about Kansas City. Their pass defense is terrible. But they are tied for the NFL lead in sacks. Colin, what does that mean? They are built. They need to play with a lead. Because if they lead, they will get after your quarterback. Okay, I don't know if I trust a playoff Patrick Mahomes to come from behind. Their defense is totally flawed. We know their offense is good, but their defense is tied for the NFL lead in sacks. That is a very important thing to note. It's why I put them number 2. If they lead late in games and their defensive front knows the opponent's passing, they will get after you. So their defense is not great. They give up a lot of chunk plays, but it is a defense that is built to this is what Peyton Manning, Bill Polian's Colts had. They weren't a great defense, but Peyton played with leads, and when they did, they had Dwight Freeney coming off the edge. This defensive front for Kansas City, with a lead late, you got to throw. They will get after you. I got them at 2.
Number 1.
Saints. Listen, they averaged 31.5 points, but I think there's so much I like about them. I like their coach. I like their quarterback. I like their defense. Here's what I really like. They're going to play at home the whole playoffs. Now, Kansas City's the number 1 seed in the AFC, but I don't think their home field's nearly as good as the Saints. With the Saints, I'm getting the most good stuff. I'm getting a great coach. I get a great quarterback. I get a great run defense. I get an unbelievable home field advantage. I get a great running game. I just don't see this team as having any real hole. I don't love their back-end defense, but it's gotten better in the last month and a half. I think the Saints are the best team in the NFL and should win this year's Super Bowl, which I'd be okay with. For the record, there was this thing when we started the year. There was this conversation about Brady was the greatest quarterback, but many of you, half of you said, that's Aaron Rodgers. Now, Joy was here for many of those days. I pushed back on that. I said, no, time out. Forget just the Super Bowls. They're not the same person. One is very coachable. One's hard to coach. One suppresses ego. One is more about ego. One is passive-aggressive Aaron. The other one, Tom Brady, will confront you right on the sidelines. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are opposites. One has a world-class arm. One has a fine arm. One's scramble around. One guy does not scramble ever. But here's what's interesting. Who I believe Aaron Rodgers is Big Ben. And their seasons and their careers are turning out the same way. If you go look at their career numbers, it is shocking. Packers, Steelers, iconic brand, their completion percentage, yards per game. They both have 7 10-win seasons. Just about the same number of Pro Bowls. Both have a Super Bowl. Ben's got an extra one. But what's funny about this is they're both right now today in the same place. Missed the playoffs, past their prime, a lot of high maintenance, a lot of passive-aggressive. One's playing in the shadow of Terry Bradshaw. One's playing in the shadow of Brett Favre. We really wanted, maybe because we resent Tom Brady's supermodel wife, we hate the dynasty, we really wanted to make Aaron the GOAT. He's a Packer. We love him. Funny commercials. Isn't it interesting that this morning today, Aaron's become Ben, Ben's become Aaron? Not nearly their peak. A lot of drama. One guy, Aaron, got rid of his guy. Ben, it appears, wants to get rid of his coach, but they're not going to do it. Is that we wanted so desperately. We wanted so much. Maybe it's Aaron's more likable, doesn't have a supermodel wife. We don't like dynasties in football. We love the Packers. They're the Midwest team. We wanted so badly to make Aaron Tom. They have nothing in common. Aaron and Ben have become one another. Both have old school head coaches. Both missed the playoffs. Both, by the way, are in a division where a young quarterback with a defense, Lamar Jackson and Mitch Trubisky, now appear to be the best rosters and teams in the division. Both with drama, both passive-aggressive, both constantly commenting in the press, both, I would argue, very hard to coach. You know who's not hard to coach? Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Andrew Luck, Lamar Jackson, Dak, Tom Brady. We enter this season, and everybody wanted to make Aaron the GOAT. Nah, he's Big Ben. Statistically, personality, passive-aggressive, high maintenance, underachieving, and in both instances, playing in the shadow of a legend, and in both instances, I think, way past their prime. I do. We've seen the best of Ben. We've seen the best of Aaron. Greg Jennings is around the corner. Coming up next, why John Harbaugh's name keeps surfacing for jobs and why Jim Harbaugh is not overpaid. Plus Greg Jennings next in The Herd.